This is the Hush Batman figure from Mafex, and I'll show you why it's a must-have for every Batman fan. I'll share my first impressions of this figure, highlight something that almost made me dislike it, and answer a few questions along the way. What's up geeks, Kirk here, and welcome to the Geek Effect. So I've been wanting to grow a collection of DC Comics characters, and one of the most sought after heroes for me was the Caped Crusader himself, Batman. Every time I asked seasoned collectors which figure they recommended, they always answered Hush Batman from Mafex. I've had my eyes set on this figure for a while, but the problem was it was retired and quite pricey on the aftermarket. Luckily, toward the end of 2023, it was announced that Mafex would reissue this famous figure. This moment was my opportunity to get in on the action, and now that it's here in my collection, I get to share my experience with all of you and see why everyone loves this figure so much. Regarding the presentation of the figure, the box has a minimal and sleek design. It features a Batman Hush logo and images of the character with a serious demeanor. The back also showcases all of the contents inside of the box, from the accessories to the figure itself. Another thing you may notice is that the box says it's the black suit version of the figure, as Mafex has also produced the blue suit from the comic, which includes an exclusive Bruce Wayne head sculpt. Moving on to the unboxing, you will see that everything is well packed in the tray. Upon inspecting the figure and accessories, you will notice the level of detail that has gone into each piece, and they have a premium quality that import figures are known for. I'll set this aside for now and focus on the main attraction, the figure. This is the first Batman action figure I've owned in years, and it leaves a great first impression when holding it in my hands for the first time. If memory serves me right, I think the last Batman figure I owned was one from one of the Christian Bale movies. That one was aimed towards a younger group, while this one is aimed towards more adult collectors, so you're getting the best of the best. Mafex tends to do a solid job when designing their comic style action figures, and this one is no exception. It looks as if they ripped this figure right out of the comics. For starters, I'm deeply impressed by the attention to detail of the cowl's design, as it accurately captures both the neutral and serious expression commonly associated with Batman's character. It has those short bat ears at the top, white eyes, wrinkles to show his brown beneath the mask, and even raised sculpting on the side for his ears. At the base of the figure's neck is a piece of plastic to securely hold this cape that covers the figure's shoulders. As for the sculpting on the rest of the body, it nails Batman's well-built design with excellent muscle definition of the arms, front, back, and legs. And those areas stand out even better because of the paint application adding that shading all over. His bat symbol is big and bold, and the paint job on mine looks nice besides this slight paint imperfection I noticed when looking closely. I also think Mafex did a great job with the utility belt. It's a detailed sculpt with an accurate tone for the yellow that matches that pale tone of the comic. The soles of his boots have some great attention to detail as well. And then there's the cape, which feels incredible. I love how soft the fabric feels. Out of all of the soft good materials I've tested on figures, this piece right here is easily one of my favorites. Some of you wanted to know my thoughts on the cape's length, and here's what I think. You know how they say go big or go home? Well, Mafex went big. When spreading the cape open, you'll see just how massive it is, and it's pretty overwhelming. I do understand that Mafex was going for that accurate and dramatic style of Batman's cape, but I would prefer it to be a bit more tame. It does look nice when it's in a neutral position, but at the same time, there's just so much fabric you have to work with, and getting it to look normal isn't always easy. While I may not be fond of the cape's size, I am fond of how the overall figure turned out detail-wise. This is my fourth comic-style import figure from Mafex, and second from their DC line, and I can say that they do a magnificent job capturing those iconic looks. The next thing that makes this figure so great is the various accessories included. If you're like me and this is your first Batman figure, you'll be satisfied with the additional parts. While the neutral head this figure starts with is amazing, I believe you would want to show more of Batman's anger. Thanks to the alternate head, we can achieve that expression. The cowl has the same sculpting seen on the previous head, but this time his mouth shows his teeth gritted, and it looks good. Every Batman figure also needs a set of batarangs to throw at foes, and Mafex has you covered with these four right here. I love that they offer two styles of it, with one being more modern and futuristic, and the other having more of that rigid look. Then there are multiple hands offering a great selection. Out of the box, Batman is ready to brawl with these fists, but you can swap them out to switch up his appearance. My favorite hands in this selection are the ones with the built-in grapple launcher. The launcher has a sleek design finished with shiny silver paint, and for some extra detail, there's lines on the side plus some more sculpting at the front of the launcher. The front of the device has holes where you can insert these hooks, and there are two pole sizes available. Here's a short one for a retracted style and a long one for a launch style. The poles are made of a sturdy wire so they don't droop, which is always good. However, I wish Mafex would have included an additional hook accessory with more posable wire. That way you can create the launching effect the way you see fit and give it more realism. It's not a major problem, but I do want to mention that the holes inside the launcher do not have a firm grip on these poles at all, which can be disappointing considering the high cost of the figure, usually $100 or more depending on where you buy it. Although the grappling launchers point upward or forward most of the time and gravity handles them, I do expect more care to be put into import quality figures. Oh, and speaking of import figures, I also bought the Mafex Robert Pattinson Batman, so if you would like to see a review of this figure, drop a like and comment vengeance. The final accessory is an articulated figure stand molded in translucent plastic, and it comes with different options to hold the figure. If you don't care for the translucent base, Mafex includes this beautifully sculpted gargoyle display base. I love the attention to detail when it comes to the stone-like texture and bits of white on the head. It's always nice to get extra things like this with a figure because it adds more personality to your figure and how you show it off. And it definitely makes you feel as if you got your money's worth for sure. Speaking of showing off, that brings us to the final reason why this figure is so good. The articulation. Now, it's no secret that Mafex is one of the top import figure lines when it comes to articulation designs, the other being SH Figuarts, which I review a lot here on the channel. One of you asked if it's better than the McFarlane version of this suit, and here's my honest answer.
Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done.
Anyway, this Batman has some impressive range in each joint, letting you pose him in ways you'd see from the comics or just any Batman media in general. There's excellent motion in the head with the right amount of range for looking up and down. Both shoulders have smooth movement in the butterfly joints and a few more articulation points giving you the best posability possible. The amount of range you get when pushing the arms back and forth or when raising them is perfect for Batman style. I love how much motion you get out of the figure's midsection as well, especially the ab crunch that lets it get super close to the utility belt. Having a ball joint waist is bound to give you the best range while maintaining that natural look, so I'm glad Mafex always goes this route. Both legs have several ways to move, like drop down joints and some swivel in the thigh. The legs may leave a bit to be desired since they only raise this high and push out to the sides as you raise them. Both of the legs have fantastic double jointed knees which allow the calf to touch the back of the thighs with no problem at all. The ankles and toes also have some excellent range that feels nice and smooth. Caped Mafex figures always come with wires built inside, and this is where I ran into some design choices that almost made me dislike the figure. Let me explain. Previously, I mentioned the concern I had with the cape size. I feel that Mafex could have utilized less fabric, and this is where part of my problem lies. As I was getting into posing the figure, I've got to say that the cape size really gets in the way at times, and it makes this figure less enjoyable to pose in comparison to the other capes I've tried, like the Mafex Dark Knight Returns Superman. And I'm not the only one who's felt this way about the size of the cape.
It's absolute monster of a cape. It is huge.
My biggest gripe with this cape though has to be the wires. The wires at the ends of the cape are sturdy, holding their position with no problem. But the wires in the middle of the cape are very annoying. These two seem to be detached from the neck unlike the end wires of the cape, which results in them dropping down every single time instead of holding their position. When I first experienced this, I honestly thought the cape was broken, so this was starting to become a bit of a disappointment, but then I found out that that's how Mafex intentionally designed the figure. I mean, I guess it makes sense in terms of Batman's cape physics, but I would have preferred if the wires in the middle were just as firm as the ones on the ends, so that posing them doesn't feel as nerve-wracking, especially for someone who's just starting out with this figure. But then, as I was getting into posing this infernal thing more, that's where I saw it in a whole new light. That's right, the one thing that seemed like a problem for me is what also saved this figure from me throwing it across the room in frustration. Well, that and not wanting to destroy a $100 figure. If you're willing to sit down and take your time with this thing to learn how it works, you can do some phenomenal poses that capture the essence of DC's iconic hero. And as I tried out different poses, I saw that this thing wasn't so bad after all. I still believe they could have used less fabric, but it's not as bad as it seems at first. After experiencing Mafex's Hush Batman figure, it's clear why so many collectors enjoy it so much. From the intricate sculpt to the satisfying articulation, this figure delivers on all fronts. It's an excellent choice for any Batman fan or action figure enthusiast. While the cape's length and wiring may be polarizing, it's ultimately a minor flaw in an otherwise impressive figure. The cape is a learning curve for sure, no doubt about it, but familiarizing myself with how it works is what made me appreciate this figure even more. The included accessories such as the alternate head and grapnel launchers also add to the overall value and playability of the figure, making it even more enjoyable. All things considered, I believe this figure is easily worth that $100 price tag. The reissue is out of stock on a lot of sites now, but if you manage to find it for a reasonable price, I highly recommend grabbing it for your collection because who knows when Mafex may reissue this figure again. I also saw Amazon has the reissue of the blue suit available at the time of making this video, so you could even grab that instead if you don't mind the color difference. I'd love to hear your thoughts though, so let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all soon with more action figure goodness. Peace.